Hi, I'm Heather Boyle, and I'm giving a speech about communication and culture. Communicating with someone from a different culture can be a difficult task at times if you haven't done your research. You can be faced with some very uncomfortable, awkward silences and strange looks. And I'm not saying this out of speculation, but rather firsthand experience. I used to work at Western Michigan University in the international office. I helped a very specific group of students coming into the United States to study at Western. I was not, at the time, I was not aware of how different cultures communicated, and I encountered many of those uncomfortable silences and very strange looks during my time at Western. During this speech, I will be referring to two cultures. We have the culture in the United States, which is individualism, and then we have the culture in China, which is collectivism. Seeing as I'm from the United States, I tend to have a me mindset, which is typical of almost all individualistic cultures. We tend to identify ourselves as individuals, doing things individually and doing things that benefit us. This can be a challenge to understand the collectivism culture. According to Bone and Griffin of Invitation to Human Communication, they have a very deep, strong sense of trust from their family in exchange for unquestioning loyalty. They have a very strong we mindset and will act on the best interest of their family, and their actions are reflected on their family and their community. We often see this when a man or a woman will go off to college and will study a field that their family chose because it will be most beneficial to them as a group, as opposed to what we do in the United States, which is do what you want, do what makes you happy. The collectivism culture strongly values respect, which plays a big role in mannerisms. When I first came across someone who did not want to shake my hand and gave me a strange look, I wasn't sure how to respond. And it wasn't until later when I read an article from Paul Michael, The 12 Lessons in Manners from Around the World, that said the Chinese culture do not touch strangers. Instead of a handshake, they bow or they nod. The refusal to shake hands is often viewed as offensive here in the United States. While I'm not sure if it's actually offensive, but it's not custom in China. In the US, we ask total strangers very, very personal questions and think nothing of it. But personal questions would be very offensive to someone of the Chinese culture. Now, if you do happen to ask a personal question and they don't understand what you are asking due to language barriers, consider yourself lucky. You escaped a moment that would be more uncomfortable than the confused looks you got from the language barrier. The Chinese language is quite vast with many different dialects. The most common dialect spoken is Mandarin. One very important difference between Mandarin and most other languages is the use of inflection in your voice. One perfect example of this is the word ma. Ma has at least 4 meanings that I found based on how you say it. So if you say ma monotoned, ma, or ma is ma, or ma, or ma, all of those have very different meanings. So imagine you are speaking to someone in Chinese and you are trying to tell them that, your horse died, but you actually said that your mother died. Now, while both are very sad, they aren't the same. Another difficulty, how there are 2 forms of written language, Chinese language. When you're trying to communicate with someone through technology, you can easily Google a Chinese character. But if you look here, there's the one for mother and then the one for horse. So writing it out actually helps a little bit if you know the Chinese characters. Another difference is the way that they write their name. So China is a collectivism culture and they value being part of a group, which is why their family name is always listed first and then their given name would be listed after. In the United States, it's the opposite. We have our given name first and then our family name follows. So imagine calling someone by their family name all the time, and it probably wouldn't be wise. So the three communication barriers that I found were most prevalent were the individualism, collectivism, mannerisms, and language. So the next time you are trying to communicate with someone from a different culture, just keep in mind that many things can cause a communication barrier. Try to do your research first, be open-minded, and don't take offense to some of their mannerisms. Hopefully they will do the same with you. Thank you.